Let us now move from the cavern of trauma to one of its strangest offspring, the trigger. What is a trigger? We use the word so often that we forget what it once meant. In older tongues, to be triggered was not a metaphor. It meant the pulling of a lever that set off a gun, a trap, or a mechanism. It was the small act that led to a larger consequence. That is still true today. Only the weapon is internal, the explosion is emotional, and the trigger may be invisible, even to the one who pulls it. So let us begin with a claim. A trigger is not a cause. It is a key. It does not create the feeling, it releases it. To be triggered is not to have a new wound. It is to have an old one touched. And in this way, triggers are not betrayals of healing. They are signs that healing remains unfinished. They are the body's way of saying, there's still something here. The suddenness of the event. If you've ever been triggered, you know it rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock politely at the door. It doesn't offer a thesis. It doesn't ask for permission. It arrives instead in the blink of a moment, often too fast for the mind to catch in time. And yet the body knows. The body knows before the story begins. A glance, a phrase, a smell, a tone of voice. Suddenly you are not in the present moment. You are somewhere else, somewhen else. And worse, you do not know how you got there. That is one of the most disturbing features of the triggered state, not just the emotion, but the disorientation. It's not just that you feel fear, it's that you don't know why. It's not just that you are angry, it's that your anger feels larger than the moment allows. That is your first clue. The size of the reaction exceeds the size of the stimulus. And that excess, that surplus of intensity, is not irrational. It is ancestral. It is the echo of a previous event, now piggybacking on this one. To be triggered, then, is to be hijacked by memory you do not consciously recall. You are walking forward, but the past reaches out and pulls the string. Do what triggers are not. Let us be careful. There is a trend in the culture that treats triggers as signs of fragility, as weapons of control, or as marks of political weakness. But a trigger is not the indulgence of the oversensitive. It is not the snowflake's tantrum. It is not a refusal to grow up. It is not manipulation, though, like all things, it can be weaponized by the clever and the cruel. No, triggers are real, biological, neurological, psychological. The limbic system remembers what the mind may forget. The amygdala scans for patterns. The nervous system is a pattern detection machine. And when the pattern matches a former danger, even partially, the system sounds the alarm. It is trying to protect you. That is something people miss. Triggers are not symptoms of weakness. They are strategies of survival. They say, something like this once hurt you. I will not let it happen again. The system may be clumsy. It may be overreactive. It may fire off false positives. But it is not malicious. It is not your enemy. It is a loyal dog with poor eyesight. It barks not to harm you, but because it cannot bear to see you harmed again. 3. Categories of triggers. There are many forms of triggers. Let us walk through a few. 1. Sensory triggers. A smell of gasoline. A particular kind of laughter. The sound of boots on a hallway floor. These bypass the intellect and go straight to the body. You may not even know why you feel sick until later. 2. Relational triggers. A person reminds you of someone, not in appearance, but in stance, in word choice, in emotional rhythm. And suddenly you are back in the room with your father, or your ex, or the man who said he loved you before walking away. 3. Spatial triggers. Places, buildings, rooms, a childhood hallway, a hospital bed, a porch light at 3 a.m. 4. Internal triggers. This is subtle. A thought, a fleeting image, even a physical sensation, such as racing heartbeat or tightness in the chest, can itself trigger a panic, especially for those who were once trapped in panic before. The fear of fear becomes the new trap. 5. Conceptual triggers. These are often neglected. A phrase, an idea, a discussion topic. Someone says, it's your responsibility. And you spiral, not because of the concept itself, but because of the invisible weight you once carried under that same phrase. 4. When the trigger hits, what happens next? Usually the intellect tries to catch up to the trigger. The conscious mind attempts to explain what just happened, but often it cannot. The data is old, unprocessed, and so the mind begins to guess, rationalize, misattribute. You lash out at the wrong person. You shut down in the wrong moment. You cry in front of someone who doesn't understand. Or worse, you turn against yourself. I'm crazy. I'm too much. I'm ruining everything. No, you are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not ruining anything. You are in the middle of an unsolicited memory event. The past has come unburied, and you were not warned. How we betray ourselves in the aftermath. Here is the most painful part. After a trigger, we often betray ourselves again, not by what we felt, but by how we judge ourselves for feeling it. The first wound is the event. The second wound is the shame we attach to our reaction. We call ourselves names. We dismiss our feelings. We tell ourselves it was nothing. We apologize to those who harmed us. We crawl back and add ourselves like children who've broken the vase. But I ask you, why? Why the shame? Would you scold a fire alarm for going off in the smoke? Would you mock a dog for barking at the door? Then why berate your nervous system for noticing danger, even if the danger was only similar, not identical? Your trigger is not your fault, but it is your responsibility once you know what it is. 6. The opportunity inside the trigger. Here we arrive at the paradox. A trigger, though painful, is also an opportunity, for it reveals the location of the wound. It lights up the internal landscape. It says here, right here. This is where the pain still lives. And in that moment, you are invited, if you are willing, not to run, but to turn toward the feeling, to bring the light of attention to the darkened room, to sit with the younger self who still does not understand why no one came. The trigger is not the enemy. It is the trailhead. It leads you back to the origin, but only if you are willing to follow it. Second, techniques for encountering triggers. There is no one-size-fits-all, but here are a few things I've learned, some from research, some from standing in the fire myself. 1. Slow the clock. The trigger speeds up the body, so the first act of resistance is slowing down. Deep breath, touch your own skin, notice the ground. These are not childish acts. They are warfare. You are telling your body, I am here, it is now, we are safe, we are not alone. 2. Name the shift. If possible, say aloud or in writing what just happened. Something changed. I felt fine. Then she said that. And now I feel frozen. This is not small. This is reclamation. You are bringing language to what was previously unspeakable. 3. Find the echo. Ask, where have I felt this before? Not just in the past week, but in the larger story. Who else made you feel this way? When else did this bodily reaction occur? You are not looking for blame. You are looking for pattern. 4. Choose the response. This is the hardest part. The trigger will want you to react, but the deeper self knows. Reaction is a repeat of the past. Response is the birth of the new. You do not have to act from the place of the wound. You can witness it instead. And in doing so, you reduce its power. You break the loop. Even once is enough to begin the reversal. 8. When others are triggered. It is not just you. Others live in these loops too. You will see people overreact, shut down, snap, weep, vanish. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can take it personally. Or you can remember, this may not be about me. That is not a license for abuse. Boundaries matter. But so does compassion. And one of the highest forms of love is this: to stay in your own body even when someone else leaves theirs. To remain steady when another shakes. To not abandon the moment just because they had to. Ikes. The long path triggers will not disappear in a weekend. They do not dissolve because you understand them. They dissolve through relationship. Relationship with yourself, with your memories, with your breath. And yes, sometimes with a good guide, a therapist, a friend, a teacher, a healer. But the final turn, the final act of healing, belongs to you. You are the one who must greet the moment with presence, who must choose not to flee, who must instead say, yes, that was once true, but it is not true now. I am here. I am alive. I am becoming whole. Final thought. I said in the beginning that a trigger is a key. Let me now say what it unlocks. Not just pain, but truth. Triggers expose the false peace we thought we had. They reveal the agreements we made with fear. They tear holes in the masks we wear to pass as fine. And in doing so, they offer us the chance to live without them. You may feel ashamed of your triggers, but I say this, they are proof that something in you still believes you are worth protecting. Something in you refuses to forget the moment you were violated, shamed, silenced, or left behind. And so I say, honor that part, and then lead it gently, firmly, slowly out of the past and into the light. The world needs less pretending and more of you, whole, wounded, honest, awake. Let that be the trigger now.